So freedom and justice, says Ghana's motto, and the existence of freedom in the country can be attested to by almost all Ghanaians. But in reality, access to quality justice is a basic human right, obviously, and the means of defending all other constitutionally guaranteed rights and freedoms. But how many of us can afford to have justice served? Remember that the state attorneys are on strike, so how is this also impacting on this justice that we're talking about? There's a group that's been pushing for people to get this kind of justice. I'm talking to the executive director of the group promoting youth development, human rights and social justice for collective development, popularly known as POS Foundation. And I've got the executive director joining me, Jonathan Osei-Wusu. Good morning, so much for your time.
Good morning.
Yeah. So, first of all, let's talk about the Justice for All program. I know that you've been working closely to get people who are not in prison or who are in prison and they're not supposed to be there out, correct? Or people who have not had justice.
Yes, in both ways, let me say correct.
Okay.
But we deal solely with remand prisoners.
Remand prisoners.
Yeah, the Justice for All program, instituted in 2007, was aimed at getting our friends or our brothers who have been on remand for several years and have not had their cases being heard or trial out of the system, because it's a complete violation against the right of people who have been on remand for years. Looking at the work we did, we've been here discussing it several.
I remember the last conversation we had, you were going to Second D.
So, yes, we finished with Second D, and then somewhere around 24th, we will be going to sit at the Ankafo prisons, and then we have Sunyani, and probably we will sit back with Judicial Service, and then we look at the roadmap and see.
But is it helping? Is it helping?
Very, 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 very well. The impact or the impact of the program is very significant. For last year, 2014, almost 270 or 59 people benefited from the program, and that was where we were able to even release the big. Do I say one of the big issues, Zoro Kuta, who had been on remand for almost 36 years. And so a lot of people are benefiting. We make follow-up calls to the regions to find out some of the beneficiaries, what actually is happening to them, and it will surprise you. Some were innocent, some we can't say, but I would say at this time that almost all of them were innocent, because per the Constitution of Ghana, unless you are proven by a competent court of jurisdiction that you're guilty, you are not guilty. So if you put somebody there for 3 years, 2 years, without taking the person through the trial processes, then I think the person is guilty, and so he deserves to be given a
is it irrespective of what you are alleged to have done? I mean, or once you are on remand, because you're not looking at maybe an alleged murderer or something of the sort?
We don't have a problem with the charge. What we are talking about is, if you have been charged for a crime, the prosecutor should continue to court. But if you charge me for stealing, committing any crime, and you leave me there to just languish in jail without any trial, it's completely not fair. It's not the proper way to go. So, irrespective of the charge, what we are saying is that whatever there is a charge, when you effect arrest, make sure you take the person to court, and then the court take the person through trial. If the court convict him, that is totally different. But you cannot say somewhere and say that I think you went to steal something, so I should just pick you up and put you to jail. That one.
Are you also helping in this regard in the area of prosecution and trying to have the correct evidence? Because if the person did it, but the prosecution couldn't prove it, then that's a problem. Then you're letting somebody that you presume to be innocent but is not innocent go. So you're doing a fine job in this area, but are you looking at the other side of it as well, or that's none of your business?
Don't forget that it is good you ask this question, because in the eyes of the general public, or in the minds of the general public, they think Justice for All is just there to release people or release criminals, which is totally false. We have gone there and people were convicted. People pleaded guilty. You know, a team of lawyers from my office will first go to the prisons, interview them, find out who qualifies per the criteria set by the Remand Review Task Force. And then after, we will prepare their applications like the normal affidavit and motions we do in court, and then file at the High Court. So it's not that we go there, mention their names, and they come out. We go through the criteria, we file for them like the regular court. We have our lawyers seated there to debate the state attorneys at the various regions and the prosecutors to make sure that justice is delivered. But this time, it's in a speedy manner, in such a way that if the person has spent 2 years, 4 years, and has not been on trial, it is prudent for us to find out if the person did the crime and is willing to plead guilty. Then the court will look at the plea and sentence the person. So it's not that we are just releasing them. Others are sentenced, others are convicted, others are discharged, and others are granted bail. So it's like the normal court, and so we are not releasing people probably who have been who might have committed a crime, and then we just go there to say that come out and then have your freedom. No, that is not the issue.
These people that we release, do we know what they do? You know, when we get them out, do we follow up? Do we know what they're involved in?
At least from my office, the little follow-ups that we've been doing show significantly that some are even getting well back in their businesses, because some were mere allegations. Others were because of, if you listen to the cases, for example, in terms of Zoro Kuta, the 36-year-old man, there was a fight among 10 people. 10 people attacked him, and through the process, he was able to get away by fighting through. After the fight, one of them, I'm told, was admitted at a hospital, and somebody went to the hospital and shot the person. They came for him because you can imagine he
was involved in the fight with him.
And so without any evidence, they picked him up and has been inside on remand, not on trial, for 36 years as he claimed. But per our statistics, putting pieces of events together, it was over 20 years. Look, talk about the man who allegedly, stole fowl at Koforidua prisons. He had been there for 2.5 years.
Even if he stole the fowl.
The cock. Let me use the word, a simple cock, so that you know, or a hen.
Or chicken. Or chicken.
I want
2.5 years in prison.
2.5 years, and that was on remand, my dear sister. So if he had been convicted, he wouldn't have even spent 6 months there. These are the kind of issues we are talking about. Talk about the driver, the trotro driver, who made a U-turn, a wrong U-turn, accepted a wrong U-turn at Kaswa, though it wasn't proven by the court. Then he was taken to the court with his mate. They go to the court, and the judge queried the prosecutor that 2 people are standing in the box. One person's name is on the charge sheet. So what is it? Go back and put the 2 on the charge sheet and come back again. When they were leaving, or in the process of on their way to the police station, the mate wanted to run, escape. So the driver pointed it out to the police. And immediately the police shot the mate, and the mate died. I'm not cooking stories. The mate died. Put that one aside. They went further, dumped this driver in the prisons, and nobody attended to the driver until Justice for All got there. And it was evidential. You see, these are some of the things
that... This is a wrong U-turn.
So we are talking about people's life and dignity. We are not saying the police aren't doing their work. They are doing effective work. But as much as they are working, there may be mistakes, lapses, and others may be deliberate. If I have you as my girlfriend and I'm competing with a policeman, we've had that issue before. And that could also be another thing. I can be wrongly accused. But if you accuse me, let the due process take its course. That is our claim. If not, then we have to come in with a measure that will at least come back to correct the mistakes or the backlog of cases, issues that we have with them. So we are talking about real life issues that human beings are going through, which are completely against their human rights, and that we all have to get involved. And you know, the Chief Justice has been very, 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 very active when it comes to this. I mean, pushing and shaping the agenda here and there. As well, we also have to congratulate your guy,
Seth Kwame
Boateng, for the documentary that seems to be to have come to lighten more.
Yeah, locked and forgotten. But here's something. How about, you know, the judge who says, put the 2 on the charge, you know, whatever it is, and come back to me? Isn't there a follow-up that she can do? I mean, can she ask, oh, so why are the 2 guys that I said? Because there's some disconnect. I don't know. Is there a link? Are they supposed to be working together, or they just present a piece of document to them, and as and when they present the documents, they deal with that particular case?
I wouldn't push it to the judge to find out, because the judge is a judge. I sit down, you bring your case, and I deliver justice. And he realized that the due processes had not been followed. So what he could have done was exactly what he did by asking them. But I'm saying that
may not necessarily be the judge doing the follow-up, but isn't the system such that we can easily...
And that is what we are gradually putting together. You know, the Attorney General's Department is putting together some reforms. The Judicial Service are coming up with reforms. All these issues we're talking about has come up. And so we are trying to even see how best we can get a case management software that will be able to tell which remand prisoner came to court today. When was he due for court? Who is the prosecutor who didn't appear in court? So if we have these systems by international best practices, then we can also say that we are doing, we are enjoying democracy and the rule of law. But where the laws are seated there, and the procedures and the processes are tightening or siphoning people's justice, I don't think that is a way to go by. So we have an issue, or let me say we really have real issue that we are being confronted with. But from the judiciary level and a bit of the AG that I know, plans are ongoing to be able to at least have the system work such a way that people cannot abuse the system, to put our brothers there without having anybody determining their fate.
These prisons that you've already been to, for instance, Secondary, you still have a lot of people on remand, irrespective of the work that you've gone to do, correct?
Correct, because not everybody on remand qualifies for justice for all. And that is the issue we, even as human rights, we have, activists we have. Why? Because if you are accused for robbery or charged for robbery or murder, rape, and those kind of first-degree felonies, you don't qualify for justice for all until you've stayed there for 4 years. And we are saying 4 years is too much. If you accuse me, at least 3 years, you should be able to begin trial. But because of the issues we mostly have with the police, that sometimes some people come out and they go to do the same thing, the criteria has been tightened, that unless you have served 4 years on remand, if you have been accused of murder and those kind of charges, you can't qualify for justice for all. So you can see that there are misdemeanor, 1 roll of weed, and those kind of things. Those are the issues we are dealing with. And to us, I don't think even smoking 1 roll of weed should put you there for 1 month and 2 months and those kind of things. I mean, I'm not justifying that is good, but we are wasting talent, we are feeding them, and then human resources being put somewhere without being utilized.
You know, there are other broader issues. I mean, this whole issue of prisons, so many dimensions to it. The issue of alternative punishments as well, apart from just remanding them in prison. But one crucial issue has come up this week, and that's state attorneys calling and actually going on a strike. Just a little reminder why they've taken this action. We'll come back and talk about the effects of this.
We are saying that those people that sit there and tell us that we're lazy and that we are corrupt and that we take bribe.
There's been many instances where state prosecutors do not turn up in courts.
Now, another issue, that's true, and I'll address that. I'll address that by telling you that we are understaffed. In the whole of Ghana, we have 151 lawyers. Now, you do the maths and do the regions and see. And bearing in mind that the Attorney General's Department is the biggest chamber of the whole country. So like I said, do the math. First of all, sometimes one state attorney can have 4 to 5 cases. I can't split myself into 5, but I must make sure that I fulfill all the cases that I have in order to fulfill my mandate for the office. But sometimes it's not possible. It's not possible because there's no car to take me to court. Therefore, if I'm not doing exercise by walking to court in the heat, wearing my collarette and everything with my gown and my robe, holding it to my arm, a prosecutor on the road, which is not safe, I have to hire a taxi, charter a taxi, pay with my own money, bearing in mind no fuel allowance is coming, get to court and try and do all the cases. So it's not actually feasible to be in 5 or 4 or 3 courts at the same time. People don't appreciate what we go through. One of the reasons why we've embarked on this strike is for the people of Ghana to know what we go through to run the chamber of the government. We are state prosecutors. We prosecute criminals. We don't have any protection whatsoever by the state. Meanwhile, all the agencies of protection are under the state, but we're not protected. We are saying that we want protection. We are saying that our lives are at stake. We put our lives down for the Republic, but what do we get back in return?
Okay, so there we go. This action is taking a toll on the cases that are being heard in the courts, obviously. But let me hear from you. I mean, you are close to them.
Exactly. You know, sometimes when you even go for justice, for last year when we went to Takoradi, the AGs were on strike. You can imagine.
But what does it mean when they are on strike, when you go for something like that?
That means they are not coming to court. If they dare, their colleagues will term that as a betrayal. So we had to see the main state attorney there, pleaded with her. The judges were calling her, appealing to her conscience that they should help at least with this program. And she was the only lawyer or state attorney against 2 lawyers. We even had 3 courts, and the courts were supposed to sit simultaneously because we go there and deal with about 40 cases in a day and more. So if you want to concentrate on one court, it will be a problem. But in the wisdom of the Chief Justice, she's giving us 3 judges who can sit simultaneously and then deliver judgment. Now, if our lawyers are ready, the state attorney is 1. What can you do? So we had to move from one court. She had to move from one court after the case is being heard to the other. So you can imagine the frustration they go through.
Yeah, but you know, apart from that, what this means is if you have a weaker lawyer on the other side, I mean, the judge wouldn't care. Is come and prove your case. So if you're not proving your case right and the other group is, in this case, I think usually will be the defendants making all the nice things, the judge would then rule in their favor. So we would be losing in the end.
Oh, but no, don't forget that the state attorney is coming there, mostly get there with the prosecutors and the police, what we call the JUPO, judicial police. And they have the docket of that person. They take into consideration the facts on the ground before they give out their judgment. Judges are careful about that. So giving that argument, I don't think yes, it's not.
Because usually you will have a state prosecutor who is following a particular issue or particular issues. And if that person is not showing up, I mean, what this means is the courts are working all right. But if they present you and there's a lawyer on the other side but there's no, the judge can say, I mean, if the judge has been adjourning the case for such a long time, just say, because you haven't showed up, then I'm letting the person go, because I can't keep remanding the person.
I partially agree with you when it comes to the regular courts, not justice for all.
No, I'm not talking in terms of justice for all. I'm broadening.
And that is my headache now. Because government needs to sit up and be proactive when it comes to this strike coming from AG. I'm telling you. I repeat that government needs to be very proactive and make sure they get back to the court.
Obviously, we haven't been proactive. That's why they've hit this, they're out there now.
But my sister, don't forget that the judicial service staff went on strike. 2 days or less than a day, they were back in the courts and in their offices because government became proactive on that one. This shouldn't be like the universities and the polytechnics. University goes and they are giving the hearing. Polytechnics goes and they are supposed to sit down and then wind their way through. This is a very, this particular institution is a very important one to us.
Let me ask you, are they useful?
Very, very useful. My dear sister, do you know the kind of work the state prosecutors do?
So why are we not paying attention to them?
Do you know why?
They are talking about security. They are talking about no conditions of service, no pensions. I mean, these are serious matters, and nobody's hearing.
Apart from it being serious, do you know why a lot of lawyers don't want to go into state prosecution at the Attorney General side? Because when you're a private practitioner, you have all these things to yourself. You do your case, you charge, you go your way. Whether small or big, you're able to manage. But when you get there, you graduated with the same lawyers, you have the same certificate, you are doing more or less the same work, you are even doing more research than them, the private practitioners, in some way. And you go there and your conditions are bad. I mean, that is too bad for people. But my concern is that those who have been arrested now, they are my concern. If you go to court and there's no state prosecutor, what happens to their fate? Are they just going to be sent back to the prisons? For a day in prison, my sister, you will not want to be there.
This is very painful, but somebody said to me yesterday, why don't they just resign? I mean, you've gone to a place, condition is not good, why don't you move on? Why do you strike? Just resign.
Some people work not because of money, but because of the passion. But it doesn't mean you should kill the person because he has a passion. They are there to contribute and get committed to the cause of this country, the development of this country.
Wow.
Getting that done alone is important and they need to be acknowledged, but not to come, slap them, beat them up, and insult them.
We'll see how this turns out. I mean, it's not good that they're on strike in the first place.
I mean,
but thank you for your time.
Is the abuse that I am not happy about. Abuse that those who have been arrested will be going through, because it's not their fault. And so I will say, finally, that government is violating the right of all those who have been arrested today and gets to court and don't have prosecutors to stand in for them, because indirectly they'll be sent back to the police or to the prisons unless they come back. So government should stop violating the rights of people who probably have been accused, be it wrongly or legitimately.
Thank you so much for your time. Jonathan Osei-Wosu is Executive Director, Pause Foundation. Don't know what else to say. But listen, Roland Walker is coming up with Talk. Two gentlemen that you definitely want to hear from this morning on all the topical issues. And I will come back. I've got showbiz and lifestyle, courtesy Airtel, later on here in our show. So please stay with us.